What's up guys, welcome back. This is anime fiction. You'll be watching What If Naruto Was Reborn as a Phenix God Part 8. Now let's begin. I believe there may be some legal concerns here. It's important to consider the appropriate protocols when it comes to bringing metahuman children to our school. We should ensure that we follow the necessary procedures and adhere to the law. It's crucial to establish the child's parentage and confirm their citizenship, among other complex requirements. Scott expressed with a frown directed at Naruto. Well, I have a knack for identifying individuals in need, regardless of their ethnicities or countries of origin. As a responsible individual, I willingly offer assistance to those who require it. It's up to you whether you want to be a part of that or not. Personally, it doesn't matter to me. I simply fulfilled my duty by bringing her to the school first, Naruto stated with a sense of righteousness. I agree. Scott, it's important to avoid arguments with your friends, especially when that friend happens to be someone as compassionate and benevolent as Naruto. And I wanted to express my sincere appreciation for your assistance to a metahuman girl when she needed it. Our world could certainly benefit from more individuals who are as kind and selfless as you. Aurora expressed with a tone filled with gratitude. She was a truly compassionate individual who inspired others to be kind and considerate. It's all right, Aurora. Please prioritize taking care of the girl. She appears to possess significant metahuman abilities, possibly even on the same level as you, Bobby, and Jean. It's important to ensure that the professor maintains an appropriate distance from her. Since I rescued her, I feel responsible for her well-being. If, for any reason, the professor were to violate her mind, I fear I may be compelled to take drastic action against him. Naruto expressed his concerns. He seriously considered taking Wanda back to his own faction's lair and keeping her with the quintuplets. Perhaps they could have developed a strong friendship, and the girl could have received expert guidance in honing her powers. However, he ultimately chose not to proceed due to his lingering uncertainty regarding the extent of Chthon's influence on this particular iteration of Wanda. Wanda's body was repeatedly possessed by Chthon in the comics, and even in the movie, his Darkhold managed to corrupt her, transforming her into a more twisted and evil version. It was evident that Wanda lacked the necessary strength to resist Chthon's corruption. And he wasn't going to let someone like her into his innermost circle without first taking precautions to prevent that. Naruto doubted that Wanda's frequent inability to control her powers and magic was solely due to her troubled past or unstable mental state. No, he thought those were simply catalysts. The primary factor was the corrupting influence of the very source of her power itself, Chthon. I'll need to find a solution to prevent interdimensional entities from corrupting or interfering with individuals' mental and spiritual well-being. There have been numerous instances where certain heroes have succumbed to darkness or turned evil due to the manipulations of powerful cosmic beings. Perhaps I can inquire with Morgana, he pondered, recalling his upcoming magic classes with the talented sorceress. That's why he decided to temporarily leave Wanda at the school. He was confident that she would have a positive opinion of him, as many of the teachers and students already admired and supported him. In addition, he had the freedom to visit her at his convenience. Oh, and Naruto. Aiza reached out to us regarding a young woman named Lorna Dane who has recently discovered her powers. She provided us with her location and mentioned that she possesses electromagnetic abilities similar to Magneto. She also suggested that we consult with you for more details. Do you think she is significant in any way? Hank interjected, having been attentive throughout the conversation. Naruto found this rather unexpected. The timing was impeccable. Just as Wanda had fully embraced her powers, her half-sister Lorna, also known as Polaris, followed suit. They seemed to have a strong bond, as if they were closely related. Aiza hadn't spoken to Hank yet because she was uncertain about what Naruto would expect her to say or what explanation Naruto would provide regarding his extensive knowledge about the girl. She politely suggested that the beast inquire with Naruto if he desired further information. Ah, Lorna Dane. I do recall her. She certainly stands out, not just due to her remarkable strength, but also because of her father. Perhaps you can infer something about him based on her abilities. Naruto glanced at Hank and Aurora, who appeared visibly shaken. I find it hard to believe that she is Magneto's daughter, Hank began. So she was the sister of Pietro, who you mentioned that day in Genosha? Aurora inquired. No, not really. It appears that Lorna is only related to Pietro through their shared father but different mothers. I was informed of this by Eric himself, shortly before his passing. He revealed to me the existence of his 3 children and entrusted me with the task of safeguarding them in the event that they manifested their powers. Naturally, I agreed. Naruto skillfully deceived. But then, who is the 3rd child who is supposedly Pietro's full sister, and why had you concealed this information from all of us, including Pietro himself? He deserves to be informed about this. Scott, who had remained silent until now, interjected with frustration, questioning Naruto's statements. Because Magneto himself during his final times asked me to keep the existence of his children a secret until they unlocked their powers. He was concerned that his old enemies might seek revenge on his children after his death. He also wanted to shield his children from his troubled past. I believe he felt remorse for the wrongs he had committed in his life and was reflecting on them during his final moments. Naruto concluded his explanation with a serious expression. By the way, I wanted to mention that I have brought a girl with me today who happens to be the 3rd child of Magneto. Her name is Wanda Maximoff, and she is the full-blooded sister of Pietro Maximoff. I discovered her in Serbia while searching for Magneto's 3rd daughter to ensure her safety. Unfortunately, I found her in a precarious situation, as a group of villagers were about to harm her, accusing her of being a witch. I intervened just in time and brought her to this place for her protection. Apologies for not reporting her to the appropriate authorities, as they may have been susceptible to corruption and could have exploited her in illegal ways. Regarding her citizenship and legal matters, my company will handle it, he stated, casting a brief glance at Scott, who now felt remorseful and somewhat self-critical for his earlier thoughtless remarks. While Naruto was having this conversation with them in the faculty room, Wanda had already begun to awaken in the room where she was placed. She sat up on the plush, cozy bed, pondering how she ended up here from the orphanage after narrowly escaping a harrowing encounter with malicious individuals. Where am I? This is incredibly comfortable. Wait, does that imply that I am deceased? Wanda pondered to herself upon awakening, sensing the plush blanket enveloping her. Having grown up in poverty and constant war, it felt as though she had entered a state of bliss. She only recalled being taken by the residents of her town after she attempted to test her abilities and accidentally set her room in the orphanage on fire, thankfully without causing any harm. Frankly, after that, she made little effort to resist, simply accepting her fate and the unfortunate conclusion to her life. Later, she couldn't recall much as an unknown force caused her to drift into slumber, even when her life hung in the balance. She only recalled fragments of what she had witnessed during those moments when she had briefly awakened or blinked before drifting back to sleep. She recalled witnessing the distorted visage of a malevolent entity with an unconventional mouth, as a multitude of individuals bore are pitchforks and torches necessary, and also displays a radiant and captivating visage. It was an incredibly stunning being she had ever laid eyes on, as if it belonged to a realm far beyond our impure world. Maybe he was her protector who attempted to guide and safeguard her from the clutches of death, but ultimately fell short. Amidst this, a multitude of intriguing thoughts flooded her mind, such as pondering the nature of the afterlife she found herself in after her passing, or whether there existed a formal orientation process for newcomers. She even questioned whether she would ever have the opportunity to reunite with her deceased parents. However, her patience eventually ran out, and she could no longer tolerate lying on the comfortable bed. She made the decision to personally investigate this paradise and discover its true nature. She rose from the bed and observed that she was dressed in elegant and cozy robes. Once she exited the room, she slipped on a pair of flip-flops she discovered next to the bed and proceeded to explore the area. Initially, she had anticipated encountering celestial beings adorned with wings or virtuous maidens donning tunics. However, to her surprise, she found teenagers engaged in conversations about academics and video games. Some individuals even chose to wear gothic outfits, and a select few adorned themselves with piercings in various locations. Wanda was thoroughly impressed by the level of freedom in this afterlife. "Hey, I haven't seen you before. What's your name? Are you new here? Would you like me to show you around? What grade are you in?" A young girl appeared out of nowhere and bombarded her with a rapid fire of questions, not giving her a chance to respond. Nevertheless, Wanda remained unfazed. She was taken aback by the presence of the hyperactive girl, who was accompanied by a shy boy with blue skin and a tail. "Wow," Wanda exclaimed, her mind filled with the surreal sight of what seemed to be a genuine demon, She couldn't help but wonder if she had somehow stumbled into a realm between heaven and hell. Oh. This is Kurt Wagner, my friend. He is also a student here like us. He has a unique mutation that gives him a blue appearance, but don't judge him solely on his looks. He is an exceptional student with straight A's. By the way, I'm Catherine Pride, but you can call me Kitty. Nice to meet you. Kitty introduced herself and Kurt, ensuring that Wanda knew Kurt was her friend to prevent any potential rudeness towards him. I'm Wanda. It's a pleasure to meet you both. I heard you mention that he is a student. Is this place like a school? I'm curious if they offer guidance for newcomers to the afterlife, Wanda asked with genuine innocence and curiosity. Huh? Newly deceased? What do you mean? We are all very much alive. I may be a bit smaller and slimmer than the average person, but that doesn't mean I'm a lifeless skeleton. We are all metahumans attending this school, not only to receive our necessary education, but also to develop mastery over our unique abilities, Kitty explained, tilting her head slightly with an adorable and inquisitive expression. So we're all alive and not dead. I genuinely believed that was the end of my short, pitiful life. Thank goodness. Anyway, what exactly are these metahumans you mentioned? You said I was one as well? Wanda's eyes welled up with tears as she expressed her immense relief at still being alive. She managed to hold back those tears, and politely requested Kitty for more clarification. Metahumans are a distinct group of individuals who possess extraordinary abilities, setting them apart from ordinary humans. These abilities, often referred to as quirks, are showcased in various forms of media such as comics and video games. For instance, I have the ability to phase through solid objects, while Kurt here can teleport instantaneously. She spoke with evident enthusiasm, demonstrating her power by effortlessly passing her hand through a nearby table to Wanda's amazement. Nevertheless, Kurt hesitated to teleport in front of her due to his nervousness after catching the attention of a captivating girl like Wanda. Don't mind him. He can be a bit reserved at times. Oh, and by the way, it's appropriate to express gratitude because you were indeed saved by a higher power, specifically, the deity of our metahuman community, Agni. Although we, as his devoted followers and friends, affectionately refer to him as Naruto. Interestingly, the Frost sisters occasionally address him as Master, Kitty murmured quietly to herself. By the way, what's your power? Kurt asked timidly in an attempt to silence Kitty and put an end to her incessant chatter. My abilities may not be as extraordinary as yours. I possess the skill to manipulate a crimson energy that I generate, allowing me to lift and control objects. Additionally, I have the ability to perceive people's emotions and utilize my crimson red energy to repel objects. Wanda unintentionally disclosed her powers in an attempt to establish a connection with them. Wow, that's really impressive. It reminds me of someone we knew, Jean. She had similar mind powers like you, with telekinesis and telepathy. Although, unlike you, she didn't produce any colored energy when using her abilities. It's interesting how your energy is unique, almost like Naruto and his red energy when he uses his abilities. It's always so cool to see him in action, Kitty said, trying to boost Wanda's confidence. However, both she and Kurt's expressions turned slightly somber when Jean was brought up. Really? Can I meet these individuals, Jean and Naruto? Perhaps they could assist me in mastering my powers. I must admit, I lack proficiency in controlling them. The last time I attempted to utilize my abilities, it resulted in considerable anger from the people around me. Wanda's smile faded slightly as she recollected the unfortunate events that occurred in her hometown. You can meet Naruto, but unfortunately, meeting Jean is not possible anymore. She sacrificed her life while using her powers to save all of us. However, there are plenty of other individuals here who can assist you in honing your abilities. After all, this is a school for metahumans. You know what? Come with me. I'll introduce you to Bobby, Peter, Miss Aurora, and the others, including our resident god, Naruto. I'm confident they'll really like you. This way, I can demonstrate my skill at making new friends and not coming across as strange. Kitty cheerfully exclaimed, taking hold of Wanda and Kurt's hands and leading them to join the others, eager to show off their adorable new friend. Wanda didn't have any complaints because she was thrilled about the opportunity to make new friends and study at a school. Her life until now hasn't been ideal. That's why she eagerly embraced this opportunity of starting a fresh chapter with a new home, new friends, and perhaps even a new family. Furthermore, she was optimistic that in this manner, she would have the opportunity to reunite with her guardian angel once more. She firmly believed that her guardian angel had intervened to save her from impending disaster, dismissing Kitty's mention of a higher power. She desired to have a final meeting with him, to truly observe him and express her gratitude for his impactful actions. Naruto, up to this point, following his discussion with Hank and Aurora, was diligently utilizing his cosmic senses to closely monitor Wanda and eavesdrop on the ongoing conversation among the three individuals. He patiently bided his time, strategizing the perfect moment to make his entrance and leave a lasting impression on Wanda. However, right when he was about to proceed with his plan, he received a call on his personal phone. This phone was primarily for show and only a select few had been given its number. As he answered the call with a hint of irritation, the words that followed caught him off guard. He had never expected to hear them. "Hello, this is Johnny Blaze speaking. We met previously and you kindly provided me with your contact information. I apologize if you don't recall our encounter, as I was in a rather unconventional state at the time, being a burning skeleton and all. However, I find myself in need of assistance once again, this time in battling a formidable demon prince with aspirations of global domination. If you are still willing to extend your support, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you." And here I thought I finally had the opportunity to impress one of my most beloved superheroine girls in this world. He expressed disappointment at his limited time for personal enjoyment. Perhaps I should consider reducing the amount of time I spend socializing with the opposite sex. Excessive sexual activity can have negative consequences. No, thank you. After Naruto concluded his conversation with the Ghost Rider, informing him of his commitment to pursue Blackheart, he proceeded to his headquarters using a boom tube. He had some preparations to do to ensure that things don't go wrong in the worst-case scenario. "Hey there," he greeted Forge with a playful tone as he emerged from his boom tube. "Oh, Lord Agni. I didn't notice your presence. The recent research topics have been quite demanding, particularly the discoveries you made at Dracula's castle. We encountered a plethora of intricate mystical artifacts, as well as some remarkably advanced World War technologies and weapons that were developed by Hydra and stored in Dracula's treasury. Or rather, temporarily borrowed," Forge explained, not quite grasping the humor in the situation. He took care to use the term, borrow, since he was aware that the deity before him had a distaste for the word, steal, and preferred not to be labeled as a thief, despite being a god. He consistently emphasized that he borrowed items solely for the purpose of benefiting others, without ever resorting to theft. "Where's Selene?" Naruto inquired, scanning the area in search of his esteemed and devoted priestess. "Hey, the Black Queen is in room MR2, fully engrossed in researching the Philosopher's Stone and its secrets. It's been 3 days and she hasn't even taken a break for meals," Forge informed Naruto. "Oh, I understand. It seems that a situation needs attention. Very well, please carry on with your work. I will go and investigate what is happening with Selene," Naruto stated as he made his way towards room MR2. The unusual name of the room stemmed from its purpose as the second space in the facility dedicated to mystical rituals. Perhaps it would be beneficial to consider expanding the facility in a sophisticated underground structure, similar to the architectural design showcased in the Umbrella headquarters from the Resident Evil movies. I am strongly inclined to utilize the Sunstone Crystal and construct a grand base resembling the Fortress of Solitude as my primary headquarters. Regrettably, this endeavor is not within my reach. I have plans for that. Why not utilize the crystal's immense power to conquer an entire planet in the comics, rather than squandering it on constructing a solitary building? As Naruto walked towards Selene, he couldn't help but think about the powerful cosmic energy contained within the crystal in his inventory. He knew that it could be a valuable asset to him. As he entered the room, he observed Selene calmly floating in midair, her focus on an ancient book placed before her. Above the book, a vibrant philosopher's stone shimmered with a rainbow of colors. "Good morning, sir. Apologies for my recent absence, as I became engrossed in my ongoing magical research. It was truly incredible to witness the Bloodstone and the Lifeline tablet once more." As Selene reminisced about her early years, she mentioned how this small stone was able to create a perfected version of the immortality serum that the Greeks were so fascinated with during her time. Actually, it was in the evening. And second, What about the lifeline tablet and bloodstone? Is it necessary for me to have this knowledge? Naruto inquired, his expression curious as he gazed at Selene. He was familiar with the bloodstone from his previous experiences. It was associated with a formidable female superhero who possessed extraordinary abilities and eternal life. However, the lifeline tablet was a new concept to him. The bloodstone is a remarkable artifact that descended upon our world, bestowing its mystical powers upon those who sought to harness its immense potential. It became a coveted tool for both monster hunters and sorcerers, empowering them to enhance their abilities and capabilities. The lifeline tablet, in contrast, features various formulas etched on it, such as those related to immortality, evolution, resurrection, and other intriguing concepts. There is also a counterpart to the Deathline tablet that specializes in handling poisons and diseases. While I haven't had the opportunity to personally witness either tablet, I've only heard tales and legends surrounding them. This particular stone here, however, appears to have been crafted by a skilled individual who skillfully combined the wisdom from the lifeline tablet with another distinct method to attain eternal life. Specifically, it resembles the process that I devised and implemented in ancient Greece, which involved the sacrifice of an entire city's population. The person accomplished the task with precision, avoiding the potential risk of absorbing all the life force into themselves. Instead, they devised a method to store it in a crystal, enhancing its usefulness and versatility, Selene remarked with a hint of admiration. Naruto remained silent, his gaze fixed on Selene's face, devoid of any emotion. I understand how it might sound to you, sir. I made a devastating choice that resulted in the loss of an entire city and its inhabitants, all in my pursuit of immortality. However, it is important to note that I was in a deeply troubled state during that period. I had a serious lack of direction and motivation in my life. I became consumed by my desire to achieve immortality, as it became the sole focus of my life. However, things have changed. Now my objective is you. Selene said it with an air of professionalism, as if she had just gained a profound understanding, while maintaining direct eye contact. I wasn't judging you. I was simply thinking that you possess incredible talent as a sorceress. Maybe I should arrange a meeting between you and Morgana. I have a feeling you two would hit it off, being top professionals in the field of mysticism. Naruto playfully remarked. Honestly, I am eager to meet her. I acknowledge that she is more skilled than me in the field of sorcery, although it's difficult for me to admit. However, I believe I am not too far behind. I think she can also assist me with some of my magical theories. By the way, Master, what about the sarcophagus you obtained from Dracula's castle? I sense a strong presence emanating from it. Are you planning to open it? Selene inquired with curiosity. No, I am currently preoccupied with important events that demand my immediate attention. Additionally, I must prioritize learning magic in the near future. I cannot allocate my valuable time to a royal succubus princess who believes she is entitled. She has already spent countless centuries, perhaps even millennia, in that sarcophagus, so I am confident she can manage for a few more months. Naruto calmly dismissed Selene's concerns. I understand, Selene calmly stated, confident in Naruto's abilities and his intentions for the best outcome, as he saw it. Anyway, I wanted to inform you that I will be engaging in a battle against a particular demon prince. You might be familiar with him, Blackheart, the son of Mephisto. Currently, his presence on Earth is quite feeble, so I anticipate a relatively smooth victory, especially with the assistance of my new Ghost Rider companion. However, I was curious if you possessed any magical items that could aid me in banishing him back to hell or sealing him. Naruto inquired, his expression conveying a sense of seriousness. He would have sought the assistance of Morgana, but the process of reaching out to her in the otherworld and having her travel to this dimension would be quite time-consuming. He didn't have the time because he had a battle with Blackheart scheduled for tonight. He required an immediate solution to permanently remove that individual from his life. Selene was momentarily speechless, needing a moment to process the information she had just heard. However, she refrained from making any comments and simply acknowledged the situation before moving forward. Well, Blackheart, from what I understand, Blackheart is not your typical demon. He lacks any semblance of a soul and exists solely as the embodiment of suffering. Similarly, his father represents the concept of evil, although he is considerably weaker in comparison. Fortunately, you're in luck. During my attempts to understand this phenomenon, commonly referred to as reverse engineering by the younger generation, I have made progress in comprehending the process of extracting life force from living beings and transferring it into an inanimate object. Although I have not yet achieved complete success, this method may prove effective against a weakened Blackheart. Selene explained, presenting him with an amber-colored rock. I created this crystal with the intention of harnessing and storing mystical energy, inspired by the design of the Philosopher's Stone. The goal was to capture and utilize this energy like a battery. However, I encountered a setback as the crystal proved to be insufficiently powerful. Instead of preserving the life energy or other sentient mystical energy, it ended up transforming into a volatile and destructive force. In essence, it became an unstable bomb. Selene chuckled uncomfortably. Oh, that's interesting. It seems that not only will Blackheart perish, but I also have the opportunity to create my own supernatural demonic bomb by trapping him. However, I seem to have forgotten how it works, Naruto asked with genuine curiosity. Well, it's unlikely that Blackheart will be permanently defeated since demons like him are usually prepared with backups, such as storing part of their true form in another dimension like Hell. However, this will greatly weaken him and may even put him into a demonic coma. Let me explain the method to you now. Once you understand the basic concept and principle, it's actually quite easy to use. Selene proceeded to explain the crystal to him, which took about 2 hours for him to grasp and left him with a massive headache. Perhaps I am not as naturally gifted in magic as the protagonists in novels and fanfictions, as it took me approximately 2 hours to comprehend the workings of a single magic crystal. And even then, I experienced a significant headache. I feel like a 10th grade student once again who doesn't understand a single thing the teacher is saying and is just trying to make sense which subject the professor is actually teaching. Naruto pondered silently. After finishing his lesson with Selene and fully grasping the workings of the defective crystal, he realized it was already nighttime and close to the agreed-upon meeting time with Blaze. They would arrange to meet at the caretaker's cemetery, which Blaze had already provided the location for. He initially accessed a boom tube to a city alley and then proceeded to the nearby Starbucks to acquire a cup of coffee in order to alleviate his headache, before promptly accessing another boom tube to the cemetery. "Is that a Starbucks cappuccino in your hand?" inquired the elderly caretaker as soon as he spotted Naruto emerging from his boom tube. "I emerge from a red swirling portal and the first thing you question is why I am holding a cappuccino?" Naruto inquired with a frown. "Unfortunately, there aren't many Starbucks or other cafes in close proximity to this cemetery, so I don't often have the opportunity to indulge in fancy beverages. By any chance, do you happen to have an extra cup available? I could use a coffee myself, perhaps with some extra sugar." The caretaker, known as Carter Slade, gazed longingly at his coffee cup, unable to hide his desire. "No, I don't," Naruto replied, swiftly downing his cappuccino in one gulp before discarding the cup in his inventory for later disposal. Despite his destructive battles, he displayed a surprising concern for the environment. "I believe we should focus on prioritizing the rescue of my friend, Roxanne Simpson. She is currently in the clutches of Blackheart, who is demanding the San Venganza contract as ransom. We have decided to comply with his demands and hand over the contract. Agni, I have taken your proposal into consideration. I am confident that the power of the Ghost Rider spirit within me can vanquish Blackheart by incinerating his wicked soul once he absorbs the souls in the contract. Therefore, we will proceed with this plan," Blaze declared resolutely. However, Naruto wasn't fooled by this. He understood that Blaze would willingly sacrifice that contract to Blackheart, even without Naruto's intervention, in order to save the person he cherished most. And Naruto even respected him for his professionalism. However, he remained silent as he had devised his own strategy. He no longer wished to allow Blackheart to be consumed by Ghost Rider's penance stare. Now, he sought to harness the power of Blackheart using his newly acquired crystal, aiming to create a devastating magical explosion fueled by the energy of the weakened Blackheart and the countless sinful souls. He had considered attempting to assimilate Blackheart into his own being, just as he had compelled Lilith Drake to absorb Dracula's essence. However, he had doubts about his ability to replicate his success with Blackheart, considering the Demon Prince's formidable willpower, strength, and superior status as a higher being of existence compared to the King of Vampires. He had doubts about his ability to assimilate a conceptual entity like Blackheart without being corrupted or altered, despite his defensive abilities like incomprehensible mind and anchored soul. Furthermore, he had doubts about whether his divine abilities would align harmoniously with the immense power of a demon prince. Indeed, Lilith possessed the necessary qualities to contain Dracula's formidable vampiric abilities, as she was not only his daughter but also possessed her own unique vampiric powers. This made her an exceptionally suitable match for him. I should meet Lilith soon and see how her management of all the vampiric forces around the world is going. Even her father, Dracula himself, struggled to unite all vampires and compel them to obey. But I am confident she will excel, especially considering her current strength, which rivals, if not surpasses, that of her father at his peak. He pondered silently. He had completely transformed her into a creature after infusing her with the essence of Dracula. It not only gave her a power of 1+1, but it completely transformed her. It enhanced her sense of self. While Naruto pondered over his thoughts, he and the other two Ghost Riders had already arrived at the outskirts of the ruined town of Sanbanganza. Blaze and Caretaker were riding their respective vehicles, with Naruto soaring alongside them. He considered requesting a ride on the Ghost Rider's bike to experience the sensation of riding on a fiery, otherworldly motorcycle. However, he ultimately decided against it, as it would have created an unnecessarily uncomfortable situation. Naruto also had to uphold his professional reputation as a deity in the eyes of others, so he reluctantly took to the skies while observing the Ghost Riders effortlessly maneuvering their vehicles and even performing daring tricks occasionally. They all halted their progress upon reaching the outskirts of the deserted ghost town, as the caretaker had chosen not to venture any further, for reasons unknown. He claimed to have additional responsibilities and tasks to attend to. He departed after delivering a specialized firearm used for hunting supernatural creatures to Blaze. Naruto noticed the gun and decided to inquire with Blaze about it later. He wanted to study and recreate it for his followers, as a means to defend against supernatural dangers in the future. He was confident that Morgana and Selene would have no trouble replicating a gun like that. Blaze carefully examined his firearm, appearing deep in thought as he weighed his options. After careful consideration, he reached a conclusion. He kept the firearm alongside his powerful motorcycle and attempted to focus his thoughts. Naruto struggled to comprehend his own actions, but the truth gradually revealed itself as his body emitted wisps of smoke and took on a fiery red hue. It appeared as though his skin and flesh were being consumed, transforming into a powdery ash. After the transformation, Johnny Blaze ceased to exist as the human was consumed by fire, leaving only the spirit of vengeance, known as the Ghost Rider. Tonight, the wicked will face their reckoning, the determined hunter of evil declared, locking eyes with Naruto and motioning for him to accompany him into the city. The Ghost Rider exuded an air of confidence and calmness, as always. As the two cautiously made their way into the misty city, they couldn't help but notice the eerie ambiance of silence and coldness that surrounded them. It gave even Naruto a shiver down his spine. Actually, it wasn't due to Blackheart, but rather a sudden recollection of the horrors from his past. Anyway, this time there was no unexpected assault from any water demon, as Ghost Rider had already eliminated all of Blackheart's subordinates. However, upon entering the heart of the city, they were greeted by a different sight. They witnessed numerous red demons resembling demonic imps encircling Blackheart and Roxanne, who lay on the ground before him. "Hello, old acquaintances. It's good to see you both. Honestly, I anticipated a larger turnout today, but I suppose pride affects us all, doesn't it? I even called in some favors and enlisted the help of these loyal individuals. Now, let's discuss the contract. Will you surrender it willingly, or shall we proceed with a more challenging approach? Just a reminder, my associates here are quite skilled in their abilities." Blackheart's sinister grin revealed his unwavering confidence in his advantage. He did not. Naruto maintained his advantage. He skillfully rescued Roxanne and swiftly transported her to safety, leaving the demons unable to react in time. However, he was unwilling to proceed with that course of action as it deviated from the original plan. The initial strategy involved allowing Blackheart to absorb the cursed spirits with a sense of overconfidence. Because prioritizing the rescue of Roxanne and discreetly delivering the contract to him was crucial for Naruto to avoid raising any suspicions from Blackheart. He was determined to acquire a new magic bomb for his personal use, no matter the cost. Perhaps I am becoming overly fixated on the notion of owning a portable nuclear weapon, he pondered silently. However, Naruto remained silent as the decision was not within his control. The decision was made by Ghost Rider. The spirit of vengeance examined the contract in his hand, casting a glance at the unconscious Roxanne on the ground and then directing a final gaze towards Naruto. With a decisive motion, he tossed the contract towards Blackheart. The Prince of Hell efficiently secured the contract, swiftly scanning through its contents. Once he grasped the concept, he confidently extended his hand and exclaimed, "Everyone, gather around," with a tone of triumph. Before long, malevolent spirits emerged from every corner of the town, slithering and squirming towards Blackheart in a desperate attempt to reach the Demon Prince. They all gravitated towards him upon meeting him. As all 1,000 dark spirits were consumed by Blackheart, his own appearance also underwent a transformation. He could no longer maintain his human disguise as he grew taller and more muscular. His appearance underwent a remarkable transformation, with his skin turning a deep shade of blue and sprouting a spiky tail along with needle-like porcupine hair. His eyes turned a deep shade of crimson as his face transformed into the visage of a fearsome aquatic creature. His appearance may vary slightly from what you've seen in the movies, but it's nothing that can't be managed. Now, my main objective is to weaken him sufficiently and absorb his essence and energy when he lets his guard down, he pondered, glancing at his battle partner Ghost Rider to gauge his reaction. However, upon gazing at the spirit of vengeance, he noticed a distinct expression on the skull's face that had eluded him until that moment. He noticed a sense of concern and a decrease in the strong self-assurance he had displayed earlier. It is often misunderstood by many sorcerers, the true purpose behind the contract of Venganza. Some believe that my father entered into this contract with the intention of gaining ultimate power through a mere 1,000 souls. However, this couldn't be further from reality. In the depths of hell, there exist millions of cursed souls, far more sinister and corrupted than the ones mentioned. The reason the contract of Venganza involved the population of an entire town was to ensure the acquisition of not just 1,000 cursed souls, but 1,000 damned souls capable of remaining in this realm. The intention was to corrupt the town to such an extent that even the Lord of Hell himself could claim not only the souls, but also take over the entire location and descend upon this realm in his true form, bringing hell with him through this cursed town. Blackheart explained in a chilling tone reminiscent of a scene from a horror movie. Naruto was taken aback by this unexpected revelation. He was completely unaware of the true purpose behind the San Venganza contract. If the statement made by Blackheart is indeed accurate, then the potential consequences of this situation could be: "Descend, my servants. Bring forth chaos into the land of the living and envelop the world in everlasting darkness," Blackheart declared with a sinister laughter. A sinister magical barrier enveloped the entire town, casting an ominous shadow over the sky and causing the ground to fracture, unleashing torrents of molten lava. A growing army of demon soldiers emerged, quickly swelling their ranks to hundreds. The entire space of the town was now isolated from the real world, existing simultaneously in both hell and the human realm. It was intended to serve as the central hub for Blackheart's gradual expansion of his new empire, establishing his own realm across the earth. Here, the Demon Prince had no concerns about the realm barrier created by the sorcerers to safeguard the planet. This was his domain now. Naruto remained composed, confident in his ability to navigate any potential threats. He knew that, if necessary, he could rely on his tested and functional boom tubes to swiftly transport him out of this isolated space and back to safety. Furthermore, despite Blackheart's ability to utilize his complete potential within this realm, it remained undeniable that a significant portion of his innate abilities had been stripped away by his malevolent paternal figure, Mephisto. Well, it seems like our initial plan won't be as straightforward as we anticipated. So, what's our next move? Are we going to engage in combat or should we consider regrouping? Naruto inquired, casting a quick glance at the spirit of vengeance, who was fixating on the demons with a deep-seated animosity. Naruto had already taken precautions to ensure that Roxanne wouldn't hinder them in their battle against the Demon Prince and his army. She was safely stored in his inventory. Now we shall educate these fiends on the true essence of suffering, Ghost Rider finally declared after a brief moment of contemplation. Alright then. I suppose I can fully utilize my skills now that this location is temporarily isolated from the ordinary world, Naruto remarked, cracking his fingers with a self-assured grin. As he was about to embark on his personal journey of confronting his inner demons, he was interrupted by a familiar sound that brought him immense joy, second only to the delightful moans of his loved ones. Ding! Task created. World choice detected. Scott Summers. This situation is becoming overwhelming, Scott. Your teaching methods are inadequate, and your physical altercation with a student who expressed their personal feelings about Jean is deeply concerning. Your current emotional state is unstable, Scott. It is imperative that you regain control of yourself before causing harm to yourself or those around you, Aurora expressed to Scott with restrained frustration. She had been tolerating Scott's disrespectful behavior and harmful choices for the past few days, but this was the breaking point. He was not only jeopardizing his own life gradually, but also causing harm to others, both physically and emotionally. You don't understand, Miss Aurora. That person had the audacity to write about Jean, my Jean. It's as if everyone has forgotten about her since her passing, as if her death holds no significance. I feel as though I have lost the core of my being, the reason for my existence. I am at a loss for what to do next, Scott exclaimed in frustration. However, it is important to remember that using hurtful words or inflicting physical harm on others is never justified, regardless of how you may be feeling. Jean was an individual with her own autonomy. I empathize with your emotions, but it is crucial that you find a way to move forward and regain control of your life before making any decisions that you may deeply regret. Aurora expressed her sympathy, genuinely feeling sorry for him. I'll give it a shot, Miss Aurora. I'll head back to my dorm now. I'm not feeling too great. Scott politely excused himself without waiting for permission from Aurora. As he departed, Aurora remained silent, her gaze fixed on his retreating figure. Her eyes held a complex mixture of annoyance and pity. Cyclops went directly to his room and securely locked himself inside. He had even asked his previous angel-winged roommate to leave after Jean's death, as he desired to have his own space and avoid the possibility of others discovering his vulnerable state of mind. Damn it. Why did you have to leave, Jean? Why were you foolish enough to die? Couldn't you have allowed someone else to make the sacrifice for once? He shouted to himself in frustration, hurling everything within his reach in a fit of anger. Why? He exclaimed in frustration, his emotions evident behind his red glasses, yet no tears fell from his eyes. Scott, save me, Scott, come to me, save me, help me, Scott, please, Scott, come help. Clear and concise thoughts suddenly began to echo in his mind as he focused on understanding what he was hearing. Clarity was restored as the coherent whispers started to make sense. However, what he did identify in those hushed tones was the familiar voice of Jean, his beloved Jean. He couldn't comprehend whether he was losing his mind or if Jean was truly alive and in need of assistance. However, he wasn't willing to take any risks. He was determined to do everything necessary to reunite with his Jean. He wanted to reconcile with her to restore normalcy to his life. Efficiently, he descended the stairs to the school garage and acquired the keys to Wolverine's motorcycle, which was stored there. He promptly drove it to Alkali Lake, precisely where the whispers seemed to guide him. Upon arriving at his destination, he swiftly made his way to the shore, fixating his gaze on the tranquil lake, yearning to catch a glimpse of his beloved who had gone astray. However, all of the efforts were in vain. There was no evidence whatsoever to suggest that Jean was alive in the lake. Even the faintest murmurs appeared to have ceased, as if mocking him in silence at his unfortunate circumstances. Even Scott couldn't help but laugh at himself. He was not very intelligent. Certainly, she would not have survived being submerged in a massive reservoir of water. It's hard to imagine anyone being considered a professional unless they possessed some kind of extraordinary abilities, like the ones Naruto boasted about. Unbelievable, he thought to himself as he turned around to leave. However, a fresh wave of disorganized psychic whispers once again overwhelmed his thoughts like an unsettling force. Scott, I urgently need your assistance. Please help me, please refrain from running. The murmurs caused him immense anguish beyond his expectations. His mind appeared to fracture under the intense anguish and torment inflicted by those murmurs. He reached his breaking point with the pain. He unleashed his powerful laser beams, directing their destructive force towards the tranquil waters of the lake. The lasers appeared exceptionally potent, intensified by the overwhelming surge of mental strain and emotion he experienced, seemingly evaporating the entire lake in the area. It appeared that the water level of the lake slightly decreased due to the impact of his laser eye blast. After a long moment, the whispers ceased as Scott caught his breath and adjusted his glasses. However, at that moment, the previously calm water suddenly started moving rapidly as a powerful whirlwind formed in the center of the lake. Additionally, the temperature of the lake water appeared to rise rapidly, causing the water to bubble and boil. Scott observed the unique phenomenon with astonishment evident on his face. However, he was abruptly propelled away from the shore by a powerful blast of telekinetic force. The surrounding area was filled with a radiant, warm light that momentarily blinded him. After regaining his composure and standing tall, he laid eyes on something that had been the subject of his dreams for the past few days. He noticed Jean Grey, the girl of his dreams, standing there before him, radiating an ethereal presence as she gazed at him with her captivating eyes. "Jean, you're alive. I never expected to see you again. I thought I had lost you forever. I'm so glad you came back to me. I always knew you would return." He felt a sense of pride and joy when Jean chose to reach out to him first as she returned to life. He was the one who heard her whispers, her call, and not some divine being. Scott was destined to be her soulmate, always by her side no matter what. "Do you have feelings for me? Are you interested in being intimate with me? Would you like me to be close to you?" Jean inquired, her voice filled with allure, as she gazed at Cyclops with a seductive look and tilted her head in an endearing way. Scott was overjoyed by Jean's beautiful voice and ecstatic that she acknowledged his love. However, he overlooked the subtle changes in Jean's eyes, the appearance of delicate golden red veins on her neck, and the unsettling undertone hidden beneath her sweet words. Yes. You are finally acknowledging my feelings, Jean. I believed you would never respond to my love, but I remained determined because I knew one day we would be together. One day, you would agree to be mine. But I believe by your last question, you were asking if I want to be intimate with you." Scott corrected Jean with excitement, eagerly anticipating a future with the love of his life. However, the moment he uttered those words, he sensed it. He experienced an unprecedented level of pain. It felt as though something was relentlessly penetrating his thoughts. He experienced an intense sensation, as if a drill was repeatedly piercing his skull, delving deeper with each pass. Even the pain from the previous whispers seemed insignificant compared to this. He was deeply violated and traumatized. And to make matters worse, he was experiencing every bit of it. The intense and persistent pain failed to dull the overwhelming feeling of mental confusion. In a desperate attempt to save himself and his sanity, Cyclops bravely unleashed a powerful laser blast from his visor, aiming directly at the monstrous figure masquerading as Jean. However, to his disappointment, his laser eyes only shined momentarily, like a malfunctioning bulb. In the very next second, they returned to being ordinary human eyes, devoid of any laser powers or red glow. "Why?" Scott exclaimed in despair, his hope fading and his consciousness slipping away. It felt as though an intense force was relentlessly assaulting his mind, leaving him overwhelmed and disoriented. As he gradually lost his faculties, his intellect, and even his awareness in what could be described as a vast abyss, he only heard a solitary utterance emanating from the lips of the captivating mutant before him. "Confidence. It's what separates the wise from the foolish." Ding. Task created. World choice detected. Please select one of the following options. A true deity never conceals, but they may choose to move swiftly. Objective. Successfully navigate the fragmented realm under the dominion of Blackheart and preserve your sacred existence. Please be aware that this specific quest must be completed within a time limit of 5 minutes. Prize. Exclusive. Tensigan. Perk card. A deity cannot flee nor can they perish. Objective. Ensure survival. Ensure your survival until the clock runs out. Please be aware that this specific quest must be completed within a time limit of 20 minutes. Perfected. Renegon. Perk card available as a reward. 3. Prioritizing life over dignity is crucial. Objective. Negotiate an agreement with Blackheart to secure a lifelong commitment as his loyal servant. Please be aware that this specific quest has a time limit of 10 minutes. Reward: Faustian Contract, perk card at the servant grade level. Additional Note 1. If the mission is not completed within the specified time limit, no additional penalties will be imposed. Additional Note 2. The system does not administer punishments, but rather, any negative consequences are likely to be the outcome of the host's choices and actions. Additional Note 3. Given the conflicting nature of the three options in this situation, only one can be chosen. What on earth? Naruto exclaimed in utter frustration as he couldn't believe what he had just read. Ghost Rider and Blackheart were both taken aback by Naruto's sudden and unexpected outburst. I suppose you've come to understand the futility of your current predicament and the extent of my authority, Blackheart's demonic form remarked with a sense of amusement. Listening to his self-important bragging, Naruto struggled to contain his urge to inform the individual that his surprise stemmed from the questionable choices made in his system's quest, rather than any perceived greatness on his part. However, Naruto struggled to comprehend the motives behind these decisions. Wasn't Blackheart simply a privileged prince from hell? Defeating someone like him shouldn't be too difficult, especially considering that most of his powers were stripped away by his own father. Unless this event takes on a different tone, resembling the comics more than the movie. Oh no, Naruto thought sadly about the potential loss of his beloved magical nuke, feeling frustrated that he couldn't have it in peace. However, he remained resolute. If the system is indicating that this fight will be challenging, then he should exercise caution for his own well-being. However, he remained unconvinced that a mere demon prince could surpass his current abilities. He should demonstrate greater strength. Magneto stood out as an exception due to his evolution by Cassandra, while lesser characters like Blackheart should not pose a threat to Naruto's divine power. He pondered over which option to select. There was no option available to defeat Blackheart, so it was not possible to choose that path. He wasn't going to choose the first option because he refused to back down and accept defeat. As for the third option, it was completely out of the question, just like all those other pointless and ineffective choices. He could opt to depart through a boom tube, but the original Tensigen reward didn't hold much appeal for him. The Tensigen offered no new abilities that he didn't already possess. He possessed abilities such as energy constructs and the power to bring others back to life. However, the Rinnegan, particularly the so-called perfected one, is a valuable source of numerous abilities when compared to the ordinary version of the Eye. He desired it. His skills would greatly improve if he had the opportunity to acquire it. In addition, the Eye's ability to copy, which it should have inherited from its Sharingan counterpart, could greatly assist him in rapidly learning magic. Okay. I made a decision then. I'll go with the second option. Naruto carefully considered the second quest, confident in his ability to not only endure for 20 minutes but also potentially defeat the Demon Prince within that time frame. Perhaps the system will even grant me an extra reward for surpassing its expectations. Who knows? Naruto smiled to himself with a hopeful expression, envisioning a powerful Rinne Sharingan on his forehead as a result of this battle. These thoughts were swiftly processed by Naruto, with his outward demeanor giving no indication of his inner musings. He no longer relied on others to initiate the battle, taking charge and launching the first attack. He began by showcasing his exceptional skill in combat. With precision and finesse, he summoned swirling portals from his inventory, unleashing divine red blades that swiftly decimated the demon army. One by one, the demons fell, their heads struck with lethal accuracy, dissolving into black smoke. He skillfully cupped his hands, effortlessly forming a tennis-sized ball of vibrant red energy between his palms. Here, please accept this. Sorry, but I'm unable to assist with that. Just consume this and return to your infernal abode. Naruto was unable to finish uttering his renowned technique, overwhelmed by the sheer cringiness, and instead unleashed a powerful Kamehameha blast directly at the visage of the Demon Prince. The immense blast caused widespread destruction, obliterating the surrounding buildings. Naruto and the Ghost Rider, engulfed in a blinding wave of red light, found themselves momentarily blinded as they continued their respective battles. As I anticipated, it's not as challenging as I expected. Now, my task is to simply gather the essence of the Prince of Hell and voila, I'll have my very own magical bomb, he contemplated as he confidently surveyed his surroundings. However, that was the point where things took a turn for the worse for Naruto, as he came to a profound realization about the reasons behind the choices presented to him by the system. The demons that he and Ghost Rider had previously eliminated were now transforming into black smoke, giving rise to an even greater number of new demons compared to the original count. Even Blackheart, whom Naruto had previously attacked with his powerful divine energy blast, appeared to have been merely slapped by a child rather than being completely obliterated by a beam of pure destruction. Only a faint scorch mark remained on the demon prince's chest where he had been struck, but even that quickly vanished as it swiftly healed. I believe there may have been a misunderstanding regarding my previous statement. When I assert my ownership of this domain, it signifies my complete authority over this limited space. I am in complete control here. Even death holds no power here unless I grant permission, Blackheart exclaimed with a triumphant laugh, extending his hands in a gesture of authority. I made a mistake, didn't I? I should have chosen the first option. If I had, I might have obtained the Tensigen and potentially been able to confront Blackheart again later, armed with new eye powers. Naruto lamented his choices, now realizing the extent of Blackheart's reality-altering abilities within his newfound realm. Burn, you wretched beings! Ghost Rider bellowed in a commanding tone, unleashing torrents of hellfire from his hands upon all who dared cross his path. His relentless assault was executed with precision, reminiscent of Naruto's relentless barrage of divine energy bullets, obliterating any lesser demons that stood in his way. However, regrettably, the efforts of our demon hunters proved to be only a temporary solution. Each time the demons were destroyed, they would inexplicably return, causing frustration for our skilled hunters. To make matters worse, the formidable Blackheart seemed to take pleasure in witnessing the relentless attacks of his demonic servant. It appeared that he was growing weary of the game and might soon take matters into his own hands to bring it to a final conclusion. Blackheart was playing with the duo, much like the final floor bosses in video games do, using their endlessly resurrecting minions to do their bidding instead of directly attacking. However, Naruto grew increasingly frustrated, knowing that the real challenge would only begin when the boss finally launched their own attacks. Upon reflection, it became clear that Blackheart possessed an extensive understanding of demonic magical knowledge, given his status as the Demon Prince of Hell. The mention of his new domain being a splinter space further hinted at his ability to manipulate reality. Then, why was I so overconfident at that time that I didn't even consider that Blackheart could grow more powerful than what was shown in the movies? Why? It almost seemed like I had temporarily lost my professional judgment like most of the other prideful gods in existence. TCHH. Naruto clicked his tongue in annoyance as he reflected on his own momentary lapse in professionalism. Currently, Blackheart bore a striking resemblance to Dormammu. However, this similarity did not pertain to their levels of power. Blackheart, the Demon Prince, was far from reaching the power scale of the Lord of the Dark Dimension. What truly aligned them was the nature of their abilities. Both drew their main source of power primarily from the realm they claimed as their own. Hey Ghosty, do you recall our initial plan? Naruto inquired as he effortlessly decapitated a dozen demons simultaneously using an energy axe. Please refrain from using that term to refer to me, and yes, I do recall that ill-conceived plan, the spirit of vengeance replied in a rough tone. Excellent, because now, we will need to give it our all. It is possible that these entities are not authentic demons, but rather manifestations of Blackheart's influence within this realm. We need to prioritize and allocate our time and energy more effectively. Otherwise, we will be caught in a never-ending cycle. We need to devise a strategy to confront Blackheart head-on and inflict significant harm upon him, Naruto stated, his gaze fixed upon Ghost Rider, who had his fiery skeletal hand plunged into a demon's abdomen. Teamwork? Ghost Rider inquired to confirm his understanding of Naruto's intentions. Initially, he had assumed that they would each handle their own battles, as Naruto didn't strike him as someone who relied on teamwork. Similarly, Ghost Rider typically operated independently. Consequently, he hadn't made an effort to coordinate with Naruto in order to eliminate Blackheart. However, if the young individual desired to collaborate, they would be open to the idea. Yes, teamwork, Naruto replied. They both shared a clear understanding of their next course of action in order to stand a chance against Blackheart. With swift precision, Naruto eliminated the nearby demons using a burst of his formidable divine energy. He prepared himself to test out a new technique he had been diligently studying for the past few days. Numerous golden-red swirling inventory portals emerged throughout the battlefield, with a particular concentration around Blackheart. Do you honestly believe that your weapons are capable of ending my existence? I must acknowledge that your red energy has the potential to harm my existence and may have even had the ability to eliminate me in the past. However, in this new realm, I possess the capability to recover from any damage inflicted upon me at a faster rate than you can inflict it. This realm itself empowers me to enhance my essence, confidently exclaimed the Prince of Hell. I understand. However, I am capable of doing something else. Chains of Heaven, Naruto declared, snapping his finger. Countless chains crafted from his powerful divine energy emerged from his inventory, passing through small portals and swiftly entangling Blackheart in an intricate web. Blackheart found himself tightly bound, his limbs and torso restrained as the monstrous creature fought against its restraints. The chains not only ensnared the demon prince, but also wound their way through the entire town, weaving through houses, streets, and even statues. It was as if Blackheart was caught in the center of a colossal spider's web. He attempted to harness additional power from his domain, but once again, the formidable nature of his newfound realm hindered his ability to break free from those restraints. All right, I must confess that you have put me in a difficult situation. So, what's the next step? Do you really think it's appropriate to physically harm me with a sword? Allow me to clarify in case there is any confusion. You cannot harm me in my own domain, Blackheart declared defiantly, refusing to yield. The powerful energy chains restrained the demon as it drew upon increasing power from its newly acquired realm. Perhaps I am unable to, but he possesses the necessary skills. Naruto's lips curved into a slight smile as he motioned towards Ghost Rider, who was steadily approaching Blackheart with an intimidating stride, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake with every step. I understand. It's your time to shine, but could you pick up the pace a bit? It's quite challenging to keep up with the maintenance of these chains when visibility is limited, Naruto murmured quietly to Ghost Rider, who, unsurprisingly, paid no attention to him. The spirit of vengeance proceeded to utilize his own fiery chain, tightly coiling it around Blackheart's neck, intensifying the torment. He stood before the demon prince, who now knelt in submission, gazing down upon him with empty eyes ablaze with infernal fury. All those unfortunate souls within you. There is a great deal of pain. There is a significant amount of negativity. Now, gaze into my eyes and empathize with their anguish. Burn, Ghost Rider declared, his penance stare activated. Noah. What ensued was a spine-chilling scream from Blackheart as his eyes ignited, and his skin appeared to crack. And eventually, he became motionless. Did we win that easily? It seems a little anticlimactic. Naruto couldn't finish his thought as Blackheart suddenly became active again, screaming and breaking free from his chains with a single tug. You both believed that you could easily dispose of me. I regret to inform you that your actions resulted in the destruction of a significant number of souls. However, I must assert that I still maintain authority over this domain. I am still stronger than both of you combined, Blackheart confidently declared. He tightly gripped his fist, causing the entire domain to slowly collapse on Ghost Rider and Naruto. Typically, engaging in such actions with his own domain could result in irreversible and lasting harm, but Blackheart no longer had any concern. At this point, he was willing to go to any lengths to eliminate these two adversaries and exact his own distorted form of retribution, which involved seizing and tormenting their souls indefinitely. Naruto found himself in a precarious situation. Despite his formidable physical strength, he questioned whether he could withstand the imminent collapse of space itself. However, right as he contemplated making a getaway through a boom tube into the world beyond, a system notification abruptly rang in his ears. Quest successfully completed. Rewards are being distributed professionally. A new perk card called Perfected Rinnegan has been added to your inventory. Wow, it's already been 20 minutes. Time flies. I can finally put my new Rinnegan to use. Although, I'm not sure if even with these new eyes, I'll be able to defeat him, Naruto pondered with a hint of doubt. However, right as he was about to equip his new eye perk card, a sudden shift occurred in the realm. A polished portal materialized before him, bringing stability to the fragmented space. Naruto immediately assumed that the Ancient One and her group of knowledgeable sorcerers had arrived to confront Blackheart. However, he noticed that the portal was composed of green smoke instead of the expected orange sparks. The figure that emerged from the portal was a well-known sorceress with a striking appearance. She was dressed in fashionable and revealing attire, complemented by a crown adorned with thorns. "I only leave you alone for a month, and you engage in a conflict with the Demon Prince of Hell? I must say, I am rather impressed," my young apprentice, Morgan Le Fay remarked, casting a disdainful glance at Blackheart while giving Naruto a nod of recognition. "Sever," Morgana said with precision, swiftly slashing her left hand. In an instant, Blackheart, who was poised to strike, froze as a sinister crack materialized on his chest, releasing a vile plume of noxious smoke. "Water mirror," she said in a professional tone. When she spoke, the sky of the domain transformed, appearing like a swirling vortex in the heavens. "Not everything is a lesson. Sometimes, you simply experience failure. Allow me to provide you with your initial lesson, Agni. When engaging with Dimension Lords or individuals aspiring to be Dimension Lords, there are 3 effective approaches to handling such individuals. The first option is to entice the Dimension owner out of their own realm, although this would require a significant amount of time. The second option is to create a spell or method to sever the link between the Lord and their dimension, which is precisely what I accomplished. However, it is important to note that this solution is only temporary, as the Dimension Lord will inevitably regain their connection. And that's where the third option comes. Typically, it's quite challenging to execute since most Dimension Lords possess immense power, fueled by their vast dimensions. However, in the case of this insignificant individual, we can effortlessly employ this approach. It involves completely obliterating the feeble realm that this pitiful demon claims as his own, Morgana stated with a wicked grin, her voice growing increasingly malevolent towards the end of her speech. The somber sky, now transformed into an inky abyss, appeared to intensify its fervor as the colossal void in the heavens expanded. Quiet and serene now for some reason. Then the entire area fell into silence as everyone, including even Ghost Rider, and the demons, seemed to be anticipating something. "Break." Morgan finally interrupted the silence. When she spoke, powerful bolts of lightning shot out from the enormous hole, creating massive waves in the liquid sky. Wherever the lightning traveled, reality appeared to warp and lose its shape. A series of powerful vibrations reverberated through the dark dome enveloping the devastated town, causing intricate fractures to form across its surface. These cracks extended through the air and even the ground, until the fragmented space lost its equilibrium and the entire fabric of reality shattered in a dazzling burst of light. Throughout the ordeal, Blackheart's agonized screams echoed through the air, his connection to the space causing him to experience the gradual disintegration and collapse. "What happened?" Naruto asked, his voice filled with astonishment, as he surveyed the scene before him. They were back in the once destroyed town, but now it appeared eerily normal, with no sign of the demonic minions and a crimson sun slowly ascending in the sky. "Nothing. I just destroyed his inferior imitation of a dimension domain. Sigh, I truly wish that experienced individual didn't detect my spell. She always monitors situations like these and prefers to intervene at the very last moment to eliminate fools who believe they have attained ultimate power and have already triumphed," Morgan said, his voice tinged with irritation. "And where are you headed? Escaping from a sorceress who even your father avoids crossing isn't as simple as it seems," Morgan playfully taunted. She effortlessly summoned a green glowing chain and swiftly bound the demon prince who was attempting to unleash a demonic skill or magic to flee unnoticed. "Wait, please release me. I'm willing to offer you anything you desire in exchange for my freedom. Simply state your desires, and I will fulfill them." Blackheart attempted to tempt Morgan with the allure of material gain. "Do you honestly believe we are fools? It's quite amusing how you were expelled from the depths of hell by your own father, the esteemed lord of the underworld. You possess nothing of value to offer us, nor do you possess any means to intimidate us. My dear, pitiful demon, you are utterly devoid of hope and utterly useless in every conceivable way," Morgan declared, her voice devoid of warmth, as her palms and eyes emitted an eerie green glow, as if preparing to obliterate Blackheart. "Wait. I would prefer a highly advanced explosive device." Naruto quickly attempted to intervene. At this, Morgan, Blackheart, and even the silent Ghost Rider exchanged perplexed glances. "I have an experimental stone that I would like to test on him," Naruto said, his tone becoming more sincere as he presented the new stone given to him by Selene. "Fascinating, a man-made sealing crystal. The design is rather impressive, considering its artificial nature. The individual responsible for its creation must possess considerable skill. However, there are a few areas where it could be further improved. If you pass it to me, I can enhance it for you." Morgan took the stone from Naruto and proceeded to make modifications, skillfully weaving green glowing spell circles onto the crystal. "Here, it should be more stable now and shouldn't explode unless it's overloaded," Morgan assured as she handed him back the stone. "Wait, it's not a bomb anymore," Naruto asked with a hint of sorrow. A sealing crystal of this magnitude is often utilized by seasoned sorcerers to store and harness various forms of mystical energy for future use in significant spells or rituals. It provides a secure means to practice and execute potent demonic incantations, Morgan explained, highlighting the crystal's capabilities. "But, is it a bomb?" Naruto insisted firmly. "If you insist on utilizing such a potent stone in such a frivolous manner, then yes, it can be done." Morgana responded to his perplexing inquiry, struggling to comprehend his fixation on explosions. Naruto, upon receiving confirmation of the crystal's continued functionality as a powerful magical weapon, proceeded to activate it. A series of intricate symbols formed around the small rock as a brilliant beam of light burst forth, enveloping Blackheart. In a mesmerizing display, the weakened demon prince was transformed into a sinister, dark energy before being drawn back into the rock. It didn't appear to be significant. It appears that you have eliminated the surplus souls within him that he acquired from the Sanvenganza contract and even caused considerable damage to his essence. Regardless, it should still provide sufficient firepower to obliterate Camelot completely," Morgana concluded. You emanate an aura of wickedness, sorceress. Your place is in the depths of hell." Ghost Rider suddenly spoke up, his hollow burning eyes fixed on Morgan. "Oh really? And here I thought that I was just a pure maiden with a heart of gold. Are you sure you want to attempt sending me to hell, spirit of vengeance? Many of your previous incarnations have tried that, but all have failed, and quite miserably at that," Morgana playfully remarked, giving Ghost Rider a teasing smile. "Wait, did you witness her professional assistance and her heroic act of saving us? This clearly indicates that she has performed a commendable action, proving that she is not entirely malevolent. It's important to recognize the goodness within her and not dismiss it. Moreover, even if you were to attempt any harm, you would not only have to face her but also contend with me, a deity. Are you sure you want to proceed with that, especially considering the limited time remaining in this form and the rising sun? Alternatively, perhaps you should disregard her presence, choose Roxanne, transform into Blaze, and depart." Naruto strongly advocated for this option, believing it to be the most favorable decision for everyone involved. He was confident that his rule of conduct didn't apply to Ghost Rider, nor did it apply to Morgana. They were both incredibly powerful, making it difficult for him to affect them with his skill alone. He was uncertain about whether Ghost Rider would agree to him or not. After a few moments of deep consideration, the spirit of vengeance seemed to agree as the fire all over its body extinguished, and it transformed back into its human form, Johnny Blaze. Pride is not the opposite of shame, but rather its source. The only antidote to shame is true humility. Johnny Blaze was ecstatic upon being reunited with his lost love, Roxanne. They were extremely thrilled and couldn't resist expressing their affection through kissing and other intimate gestures. Naruto simply hoped that she wouldn't perish or abandon him for any reason in this timeline. However, the ultimate decision would rest with Blaze. Blaze expressed sincere gratitude to Naruto for his assistance and thanked him multiple times before departing. He had preserved all his memories from his Ghost Rider transformation and had even expressed remorse to both Naruto and Morgana for attempting to engage in a confrontation with them. Naruto attempted to extend a job opportunity to him, involving the pursuit of demons within the newly established supernatural division of his organization. However, Johnny, viewing himself as a free-spirited individual, preferred to engage in the noble task of hunting down malevolent forces on a part-time basis. Although he declined Naruto's offer, he made a commitment to assist Naruto whenever necessary. Naruto was pleased with this outcome, as he enjoyed helping others and knew that doing a favor for the spirit of vengeance would be beneficial in the world of Marvel. After the stuntman and his girlfriend made a stylish exit on his motorcycle, Naruto and Morgana also decided to head back to the base. They were transported to Naruto's mansion using a boom tube. "So, I gather you've finished your conquest of Avalon, considering you're here in the mortal mundane world?" Naruto inquired of Morgana as they entered the living room of the mansion. "Well, I didn't exactly conquer Avalon. It seems that the once dream utopia has lost its former glory, no longer the legendary haven I sought to protect. Arthur and his knights have had a detrimental impact on the nation. The progress of science and technology has come to a halt, and even the quality of magic has declined from its previous standards. The current military of the nation still relies heavily on knights who wear ancient steel armors and wield swords. The remaining mages have yet to reach a level of expertise beyond apprenticeship. The overall quality of nature and environment in the nation has noticeably declined, with the forests and farms losing their once vibrant freshness. Recognizing the decline, I made the wise decision to turn my attention away from this struggling country. After all, Otherworld offers vast opportunities beyond the confines of Avalon. With determination, I set out to conquer the remaining dimensions of Otherworld, leaving Avalon untouched," Morgana said, a small proud smile gracing her lips. "Wait, you managed to conquer the entire dimension? That's impressive. But I'm curious, did the current people of Avalon try to oppose you, considering you had just conquered everything around them?" Naruto asked with genuine curiosity. "No, not really. The older individuals were simply relieved that they were not the targets of the attack. A significant portion of them doubt my newfound freedom. They dismiss the situation as a mere uprising by insignificant rebel factions, oblivious to the fact that their entire country is now encircled. It's amusing how they fail to grasp that I hold the power to conquer their feeble nation at any given moment," Morgana scoffed. I suppose their society is reminiscent of the wizarding world in the Harry Potter universe. Perhaps being isolated in an alternate dimension without any visible dangers does have a negative impact on one's intellect, Naruto pondered silently. "Anyway, as I was mentioning, after successfully conquering a significant portion of the Otherworld, I contemplated whether to invite you for your mystical training or extend my conquest to Avalon. However, my attention was abruptly drawn to a remarkably potent and unsettling presence in this realm. It bore a striking resemblance to the Phoenix Force, albeit with a darker essence. That's why I promptly entered this dimension to investigate the issue. Once I arrived, I couldn't detect your presence no matter how hard I tried. However, your small flying box eventually located me and informed me about how you were trapped in a separate realm by a demon. As your new master of magic, it was my responsibility to rescue you. Failing to do so would have tarnished my reputation as a sorceress," Morgana stated, flicking her hair with a sense of pride. "Wait, did you mention Dark Phoenix? Is she really free? Could you possibly take me to her? I have some pressing questions that I need to ask the Phoenix residing within her," Naruto pleaded, gazing at Morgana with his most sincere expression. "She has departed from this world," Morgana stated, seemingly unaffected by his pleading gaze. "She's dead again," Naruto exclaimed in despair. He hadn't anticipated the possibility of the Dark Phoenix awakening while he was occupied elsewhere, leaving room for someone to potentially harm Jean, who was possessed by the Dark Phoenix, or for her to once again sacrifice herself to protect others, as she did in both versions of the Dark Phoenix movie. He was reluctant to part ways with Jean. She was adorable and compassionate, and one of the rare individuals he genuinely valued. Additionally, he shared a unique bond with her that was absent in his relationships with others. A connection that was nearly maternal, or perhaps fraternal. Whatever it was, Naruto felt a strong sense of certainty. He felt appreciated because of that. "No, I mean she is no longer here. I tried searching extensively, using various spells, but I couldn't detect her even once. This leads me to believe that she has likely departed from this place," Morgana clarified. "Oh, I understand. It seems like finding her is going to be quite challenging, isn't it?" Naruto sighed, acknowledging the ongoing love drama in his life. He recalled that the Phoenix Force's main duty is to create by means of destruction. When the Phoenix Force acquires a new host, it journeys to various galactic civilizations and, if it deems them unworthy of existence, obliterates their entire race and planet. However, it is the responsibility of the host of the pure Phoenix Force. However, the Dark Phoenix sets itself apart. It is a distortion of the genuine cosmic entity. This entity lacks any sense of responsibility and is solely fixated on obliterating everything in its path, regardless of its value or lack thereof. It is typically observed that the Dark Phoenix does not venture beyond the planet independently, as it prioritizes annihilating this planet before targeting others, as depicted in the movies. So the question is, why did Jean leave Earth? Is she still capable of demonstrating empathy towards her own race? Or is it due to another factor? Naruto pondered silently. Additionally, it appears that you require professional training to effectively manage your divine powers in the near future. Your divinity has started to have a direct impact on your existence, including your thought processes. It is imperative that you commence your education on the proper utilization and control of your divinity to prevent the inevitable corruption that befalls many deities. Morgana delivered a significant revelation to Naruto. What? What do you mean corrupted by my divinity? My own divinity can't harm me, can it? Aren't gods supposed to be nearly immune to corruption or something? Naruto exclaimed, struggling to comprehend the shocking revelation. He was confident in his ability to resist any external influences, thanks to his strong mental and spiritual protections. Were you unaware? Surely you must be familiar with the saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This principle holds true even for gods, who, while not being the physical embodiment of their domains, are greatly influenced by their own divinity. Their divine nature molds them into the beings they are. A god of war is perpetually consumed by a thirst for battle. A god of love is intimately connected with desire. A god of lightning is eternally filled with pride. A god of death shows no mercy, and a god of deceit or trickery is always plotting and scheming. This is not the case because their divinities are actively controlling them, but rather because they are shaped by their divinities. The qualities of pride or being easily offended are common among most divinities, with a few exceptions. Many old generation gods, like the Greek gods, the Egyptian gods, the elder gods, the outer gods, and others, can be considered corrupted. As a result of this corruption, they often make foolish mistakes that a rational person would never make. Naruto was informed of this by Morgana. Wait, does that mean the reason I recklessly charged into battle against Blackheart in his own domain without considering the consequences might have been due to me being influenced by my suppressed divinity? Is there any way to minimize its impact on me? I don't really want to become a more powerful version of mythical gods like Zeus or Loki. Naruto shivered at the thought of transforming into a distorted and formidable deity like them. Indeed, you were briefly experiencing the impact of your own divine nature, given the frequency with which you have been utilizing your celestial energy recently. Typically, the greater your utilization of your divinity and divine energy, the more you are influenced by its inherent qualities. That's why the gods of Greek, Shion, and Shinto mythology are often portrayed as more wild and corrupted, compared to the Asgardians, who tend to use their divine powers sparingly. Indeed, there are methods to mitigate the impact of your divinity. Some deities, such as Yahweh, Odin, and Gaia, have truly mastered this. Well, Odin was primarily able to accomplish it thanks to a clever advantage he had called Mimir, but that's not really important. Fortunately, I am a true Fae and one of the few goddesses who are minimally impacted by their divine powers. Morgana reassured Naruto, offering her expertise to help him navigate the challenges stemming from his divine nature. However, Naruto remained unconvinced. He was aware of a particular deity from the neighboring DC universe who embodied the essence of malevolence and oppression. This deity was undeniably wicked and tyrannical. Up until this point, Naruto had always found the idea of possessing a divine power like Darkseid's alpha effect intriguing. But now, he fervently wished to avoid being connected to a deity associated with abstract concepts like that. Little did he know, his actions would have significant consequences that he would deeply regret in the future. Hey, Naruto or Agni, or whatever name you prefer in this dimension, I think it's time for us to embark on a journey to Otherworld. So, start getting ready. It is crucial that you acquire the necessary skills in magic to protect yourself from potential harm caused by malevolent entities. It would be unwise to underestimate the potential dangers posed by even minor spells, such as blood boiling or bone liquefying. Those are some fundamental curses, which can be quite challenging to defend against if one lacks a solid understanding of the basics of mystic arts. Morgana reminisced, her face filled with nostalgia. Certainly, sir. I have been eagerly anticipating the opportunity to learn magic for quite some time, Naruto replied with a smile that was barely contained. I feel incredibly fortunate to have something in my life that makes parting ways such a difficult task. Oh, so you're leaving? Unfortunately, it is not possible at the moment. We require your immediate assistance. We are seeking individuals with exceptional skills to join the X-Men team. One cannot simply depart to a whimsical realm to acquire magical knowledge at will. It doesn't work like that. Ororo's eyes welled up with tears as Naruto informed her the following day in the Genosha consulate room that he would be leaving soon. It seems as though you're implying that I am departing permanently or something. I am temporarily leaving the dimension for training. I have the freedom to return at any time. I'll be just a boom tube away. Naruto jokingly assured Ororo that he would not be able to attend the dull consulate sessions in Genosha, which brought him some relief. Sure, I suppose. However, the children will likely feel a significant absence without you. I will also miss you. Since Scott was discovered in a coma that day, the students have been struggling to maintain a sense of normalcy. He has been on life support ever since. We were unable to determine the exact details of his situation. We are attempting to assist him, but his physical condition remains unaffected. His mind is fragmented. The professor is diligently working on it. It's functioning, but it will require some time. The children are longing for their friend. In addition, you failed to meet a significant number of our recent hires. They are highly skilled individuals who possess extraordinary abilities. All of them show promising potential, I must admit. Ororo attempted to conceal her sorrow. Oh, please. I know who will miss me the most, Naruto said with a playful grin as he gently brushed a strand of hair away from Ororo's face and caressed her left cheek. And regarding Scott, I believe his mind can eventually be healed through some magical means. I believe there must be a spell available to heal mental distress. Although, I have to admit I will appreciate the peace and quiet that I will have without hearing his voice for a few days. Additionally, I would like to have the opportunity to meet the new recruits. I never formally introduced myself to the girl that I rescued that day after all. Are you considering pursuing a romantic relationship with another one of our students? It seems that you have quite the fan club at school. Some students openly admire you, while others may be feeling a mix of envy and admiration. Ororo chuckled. Ha ha, that's quite amusing. Anyway, let's head to the school and meet the new students. I need to depart within the next 3 days, so time is limited. Also, I would like to take you on the date we had planned before I leave. Naruto grinned as he accessed a portal to the school for the gifted, with Ororo eagerly trailing behind him, brimming with joy. Upon emerging from their boom tube directly inside the school faculty room, they caught the immediate attention of Beast. Startled, Beast nearly had a mini heart attack, mistaking their sudden appearance for another attack. Oh my goodness! Could you please refrain from surprising me in such a manner? I believe it is necessary to implement enhanced security measures in the school to ensure that individuals cannot freely enter or exit the premises without proper authorization. Hank quietly worked on preparing designs for new security systems during his lunch break, taking advantage of the free time he had. By the way, what happened to the professor? Is he still confined to his room? Or have you already forgiven him for his unethical actions of manipulating people's minds? Naruto inquired Ororo, disregarding Hank as he suddenly recollected Xavier. Oh, he has been removed from the school board and from his official principal position. Currently, we are still permitting him to instruct the children as he has proven to be an effective teacher. However, his position is precarious. Once a third strike is recorded against him, he will be promptly relieved of his teaching position. That is why he has been conducting himself in a commendable manner as of late. Ororo proudly mentioned that Celine had been assisting her in developing mental shields to safeguard her mind. With these shields in place, she would be able to detect any attempts made by others, particularly telepaths, to intrude upon her thoughts. Her natural ability to protect her mind was highlighted by Celine, and Ororo smiled as she shared this information. I must admit, you possess exceptional skills and talent, Miss Munro. I have a keen eye for individuals who stand out from the crowd, I find myself incredibly drawn to you. Naruto charmed the white-haired goddess. Anyway, let's head to the cafeteria. The children are likely all there, enjoying their break, Aurora said, blushing as Naruto simply smiled and accompanied her out of the room. Aurora was very direct in expressing her emotions and feelings towards others, and that's exactly what she was doing with Naruto before. However, when Naruto started actively flirting with her, she seemed to revert back to being an awkward and inexperienced teenage girl. The cafeteria was quite busy as many students from the school were here enjoying themselves. It was reminiscent of a typical school cafeteria, with students engaged in conversations, flirting, occasional arguments, and simply enjoying their time. Naruto found the atmosphere quite appealing, evoking a sense of nostalgia, perhaps from his past experiences. Perhaps I was quite sociable or athletic in a past incarnation. I must have been quite popular with the ladies. He reflected wistfully, with a self-centered perspective. Naturally, there was no one present to inform him of his lack of popularity. He had a strong passion for his interests. However, it was beneficial for him because his geeky nature allowed him to acquire extensive knowledge about the Marvel world. He was fortunate that he wasn't well known in his previous life. Hello Miss Munro, I failed to notice your presence. Oh, Naruto, you're also present. I thought you had neglected all of us. Kitty remarked with a playful pout on her face as she spotted Aurora and Naruto making their way towards her table. How could I possibly forget our beloved feline companion? I apologize for any inconvenience, but I was occupied with a significant matter for the past few days. Anyway, how are you all doing? Naruto inquired. There were other individuals sitting at the table besides Kitty. There were also Bobby, Wanda, Pietro, Anna, and another individual with green hair sitting there. We're doing fine, Naruto. It's noteworthy that there hasn't been an attack on the school for an entire week, which is a positive development. We feel incredibly fortunate at this point. Are you certain you didn't bestow any blessings upon us, oh mighty Naruto? Bobby playfully quipped. Perhaps I did. Who knows? Naruto chuckled along with everyone at the table. An angel? Wanda quietly murmured to herself. She was not in a jovial state as she witnessed something that she deemed implausible. She was astonished by what she saw. She was encountering the same guardian angel who had rescued her. The angel that she had believed was a product of her imagination since she couldn't fathom someone so stunning existing in the world. Oh, I suppose you haven't had the pleasure of meeting Naruto yet. This is the deity we were discussing. The one who safeguards our entire race now. He is a true hero, Naruto Uzumaki, who watches over all of us. Even though he is also known as Kitty by some. Agni swiftly introduced Naruto after noticing the curious glances from the unfamiliar faces and Wanda's murmurs. Hello, my name is Lorna Dane. I am the new magnetic chick, but you might already know that since the teachers informed me that you were the one who discovered me as an assistant. Thank you for reaching out. I truly appreciate your need for assistance, especially during a time when even close family members may not provide the support you require. It can be challenging when your abilities are not yet fully under control. The girl with green hair, dressed in a punk-style leather jacket, spoke up. Additionally, may I inquire about your relationship status? I am simply inquiring on behalf of someone else, by the way. Lorna asked confidently, with no hint of shyness on her face. Not at all, my magnetic friend, not at all. Kitty responded with wisdom and authority. However, there is always the option to join the queue. Bobby sought Naruto's confirmation as he offered his advice. The confirmation or approval that the Ice Boy was anticipating, unfortunately, never arrived. Naruto had completely disregarded his attempts. He had ultimately decided to inform Bobby later that he wasn't interested in pursuing a same-sex relationship. It might disappoint him, but he can find someone else to go out with instead of holding onto false hope. It's acceptable. This is Lorna. As the new guardian of metahumans worldwide, it is my responsibility to provide assistance whenever it is needed. However, I did have some crucial information to share regarding your family. Let's schedule a meeting for later. I believe you will find the information I provide to be valuable. Naruto spoke to Lorna with empathy. He wanted to ensure that her real father's identity was established early on to prevent any potential exploitation in the future. Sure, I understand. Lorna, without fully comprehending the purpose, reluctantly agreed to meet Naruto later by herself. And it's a pleasure to see you again, Wanda. It appears that you have already discovered information about your brother. Congratulations, and I apologize for not being able to assist you sooner. I can only imagine the immense amount of suffering you must have endured on your own. Naruto offered Wanda a warm smile, demonstrating his genuine concern for her. Wanda was filled with joy. It wasn't your fault, sir. Naruto. I am grateful for your timely assistance. Thank you. Additionally, I have a fondness for my new brother, despite his dorky nature. He may have a slight inclination towards geekiness, but his skills are more than sufficient. Wanda playfully teased, only to receive a playful nudge from her brother Pietro sitting beside her. By the way, besides Naruto, I was the one who informed them that they were siblings. I didn't wait for you to be there because it seemed like she was really sad and I thought it would be beneficial for her to discover that she had a blood-related brother, as it would provide her with a living relative to form a bond with. Furthermore, it appears that Pietro's new adoptive parents are open to adopting Wanda as well, demonstrating their acceptance of metahumans and their desire to keep the siblings together. Aurora quietly spoke to Naruto. Alright, Aurora. I have confidence in your expertise. You did a great job. Naruto reassured her with a smile, gently placing his hand on her shoulder to offer encouragement. Well, look who decided to make an appearance, the master of vanishing acts. A deep, authoritative voice suddenly echoed from behind Naruto. Stay tuned for more. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit that like button and smash that subscribe for more amazing videos.